Hi, everyone. Welcome to our market update. My name is Vinnie. This guy will be here.
David Wright, thanks for letting me into your humble household.
And if you have any questions, you can text below. We are going to be playing a game later if this is your first time watching for your chance to win $50. That's the information below, just to going to give you a little bit of insight. All right, let's get into the nitty gritty before we get into the game. How are rates looking right now?
Well, Vinny, that's a great, interesting question because I only get asked that about 20 times a day.
Exactly.
And, historically speaking, it's not that bad. Overall, it's not as good either. Now, we're right in the middle of the road, and we've been fluctuating every single day in a range that's gone anywhere from like 6.5 to 7. Ouch. So it's like you've had a wide fluctuation of rates moving up and down depending on the economic information that's coming out. And then we've also had things where you've dipped down on FHA, VA, down to 5.875 and 6%. But that's also depending on whether or not people want to pay to buy the rate down or if they want to pay 0 points and not buy the rate down. And now more than ever, more people are choosing to actually buy the rate down because a lot of people don't believe rates are going to come down in the future, which is very interesting because I'm pretty sure rates are going to come down in the future because we can't have rates continually going up, up, and up without destroying the economy.
I mean, I think rates are going to come down. It's just a matter of how long they're going to come down, right? I mean, it could be. I mean, it could be a year. It could be longer than that. And then we also have to talk about, okay, well, if the rates go down, if values go down too far and rates finally go down, I mean, how does that balance out? So uncertainty, I think that's for most people, right? Of being uncertain, right? And how much you want to gamble on your loan.
I wouldn't say it's like gambling. I agree with you. I don't think rates are going to come down for a year.
Yeah.
Now there's also a lot of other people who are hedging. It's going to come down in January because the economy is going to be so decimated that by the time the Fed increases rates again in November, the trickle down effect in a couple months is going to be really bad. I don't think it's going to happen that quick. I think it's going to be a slower moving journey. And the reason why I say that is we had almost, 10 years of lower rates and low money. And what happens is the pendulum goes one way too far and then it always swings back the other way too far. And right now we're swinging on the upward swing and I don't think we've got to the top of it yet. So, I hope I'm wrong, but I definitely see how there's different economic factors coming out that doesn't look good, overall for the economy. And when you look at that, like this week, example, this week, Wednesday, producer price index, that's talking about prices. Thursday, more jobless claims are coming out and consumer price index. So another thing that's going to look at where our money's going, how much things cost. And then Friday, you have retail sales. Well, people always go, well, what's the big deal about retail sales? Well, if no one's buying and there's not a lot of things selling, that's not good. And the interesting thing was last week, they released the credit card data, which shows how many people are still spending, even though they're not making money. And credit card usage is at an all-time high.
Interesting.
And if you think about that, Vinny, credit card usage is all-time high. Average rates on a credit card are what, 19, 20%? And now that the rates are going up, pretty soon they'll be at 25. So that's an interesting dilemma to go. If you keep charging your credit card up, how are you going to pay for it with the increased cost of gas, food, everything? There seems to be a compounding effect here. So that's why I do believe in probably a year rates will come back down because you can't have all these things ever increasing without bankrupting, the total economy. So that's bad.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Something we always talk about here is the unknowns of what's going to happen next. I mean, there's pros and cons. I mean, if you want to have a little bit of a kind of a gamble that rates are going to go down, but maybe you think they might take 2 years, might take a little time, but you still want that certainty of having a 30-year fix. I mean, something you should look at is a 2-1 buy down that we've been talking about a lot on here. That could be an avenue, kind of give you the best of both worlds right there. You could just try to buy down the rate for over the life of it. And you could go, I mean, even drastically if you really wanted to do like an arm and adjustable, and there's a lot of variations of adjustable out there. That's going to be a lot more, I would say, risky in my opinion. But what's your thoughts on that, David?
So the 2-1 buy down is actually unique when you get into the complexities of it. It's actually a really good instrument, especially if we're betting on rates coming down, which I actually think rates will come down. So the 2-1 is unique because more likely you're going to utilize it and refinance within the first 2 years when the rate's really low, and the money you spent on the buy down is going to go down to pay your principal down. So that's a good hedge. The ARM thing is I think for your more savvy investors, because if you get into an ARM now, let's just say a 5-year ARM, well, you and me both know, Vinny, when you're buying real estate, it should be a minimum 7-year hold. So 5 years kind of risky when you're doing it. You better be a little bit more savvy if you're taking that 5-1 ARM. And then just to kind of pony right back on what you're saying before is there's a lot of uncertainty here. Excuse me. But one thing is certain, rent isn't going down. If anything, rent has been going continually up, because as interest rates go up, less people can afford, which means more people rent. If there's more renters than supply of renters, it's automatic supply demand problems. So if you look at San Diego County, and we mentioned this last week, they now increased our rent cap to 10% rent increases. Well, shoot, 10% rent increase, that's pretty big. If the average rent in San Diego is like, let's say $2,400, that's $240 your rent goes up. That's a lot.
Yeah. Another thing that is certain is
it's certain that Disney's going to come after you for that intro.
Question time. All right, let's put David to the test. If you watched this again before, all you do is we're going to first do a round of the question last week, see how David does. From there, we can kind of give a gauge. Do you want to follow him on the question for this week? Also, on inventory, not a lot has changed since you watched us last week, so not a lot of change right there. So I haven't even gone into any of those kind of numbers. List of sold has drastically gone down if you watched us last week. But if you have any particular questions about your situation, feel free to reach out.
What is it right now? What is it right now on the numbers, Vinny, on total active listings?
We're roughly about a little more than 4,000, roughly.
Oh, were we at 4,800 before?
I think we were like 47 or something like that. Like when we were at our peak.
So we went down in listings.
Yeah, we've gone down. We've gone down the last couple months. All right. How much did the most expensive detached property sell in La Jolla so far this year?
I think I was going with 22 million.
Wow, that was really cool. 21,800,000. I don't know if he cheated or not, but we'll say
I did not cheat. Just for the record, I'm not doing that because it's very easy to just Google that, but I did not do it. As you can tell, because I get the answers wrong quite a bit.
How much did the least expensive detached property sell in El Cajon so far this year? Least.
Ooh, what part of El Cajon is the interesting question?
You know what? Least. Oh, you got to go all of El Cajon. El Cajon can vary.
El Cajon can vary big time.
It's on the verge right there. But what's your guess, David?
It's detached?
Detached.
Man, El Cajon, I'm going to go 370.
370. That's his guess. What's your guess? All you got to do for your chance to win $50 is text those numbers below. All right, guys. Any last words of wisdom you want to throw out there, David?